If you believe deep down that rest is just procrastination in disguise, that your worth is directly tied to your output, that stopping means you're lazy or ungrateful. I'm here to tell you this lie is exactly why you're exhausted all the time. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how this belief was programmed into you, why it's destroying you from the inside out, and what becomes possible when you finally let it go. Because here's the truth, you are not a machine that has to earn the right to exist. I'm Jaylene Edwards, specializes in helping eldest daughters break free from the burnout cycle. For over a decade, I carried this same lie within my system, believing that if I stopped producing, I stopped mattering. And now I work with other eldest daughters who think that rest is something that they have to deserve. But before we go any further, if this is already hitting home and you're ready to break free from this exhausting cycle, I have a free resource for you. It's called the Burnout Quiz, and you can take it to discover exactly where you are on the burnout spectrum, and then it'll give you a personalized roadmap for the way out. The link is in the description, so go ahead and click on that free resource. And now let's break this lie apart together. So first I want to dig into where this comes from, because you didn't wake up one day and decide that your worth is conditional. You were taught that. Maybe not word for word. Maybe you were praised for being so mature when you helped raise your siblings. Or maybe you learned that love comes with conditions. If you're good and you're helpful and you're easy, then you get praise. Maybe you watched your parents reward those results and then ignore it when you had needs or when you expressed your emotions. So with this conditioned behavior, you learned that productivity equals love. If you're still, then you're abandoned. You don't get that attention. And so now you can't rest without guilt. You can't sit down without a mental to-do list screaming at you. You measure your day by what you accomplished, not by how you felt. Matter of fact, you might even not know how you feel most of the time. Instead, you've become the human version of a performance review, and that is not living. That is just surviving on autopilot. Here's the thing, this programming runs so deep that you probably don't even notice it. It's become this background noise of your life. It's a constant, you're not good enough yet. And it follows you from the moment you wake up until you finally just surrender and collapse at night. Think about your morning routine. How often do you wake up and just immediately start calculating what you need to get done? How often do you feel that little spike of anxiety before your feet even hit the floor because you're already late or behind about something? That's not natural. That's conditioning. You were taught that your value is measured by output, in the tasks completed, in the problems that you've solved, in how many people you can help while completely ignoring your own needs. And the cruelest part about this whole thing is this belief system is self-reinforcing. The more you produce, the more you're rewarded with praise, with recognition, with that temporary hit of validation. And it says, see, you matter. But it never lasts because conditional worth, by definition, has to be re-earned every single day. So you keep going, you keep pushing, you keep proving, because somewhere along the way you internalize the message that if you stop, you'll be forgotten, abandoned, revealed as the fraud you secretly feel that you are. Let me ask you a question. When was the last time you felt truly at peace? Not exhausted, not collapsed at the end of the day, but actually truly peaceful and content. That feeling where you're not mentally running through your to-do list or worrying about what you forgot to do or planning tomorrow, but peaceful. For most eldest daughters, that moment has never existed because the lie doesn't allow for peace. It only allows for temporary relief between the cycles of proving. And the constant cycle of proving your worth, it's not just exhausting, it's actively destroying you. And here's what that lie costs you. Number one, your body becomes a tool, not a safe place, not a home. You push through exhaustion, ignore hunger, override pain. You treat yourself like a machine that should always be on. And I see this all the time with the women I work with and the women in my life. They tell me they can't remember the last time they ate a meal sitting down. Constantly getting sick, but can't figure out why. Aches and pains, headaches, nausea. When I ask them, what does your body need? They don't know what I'm talking about. They think I'm speaking a foreign language, because when your worth is tied to your productivity, your body becomes an inconvenience. It's the thing that needs food when you're trying to work. It's the thing that gets tired when you still have 3 more things on your list. It's the thing that breaks down at the most inconvenient times. It's the interruption of your productivity. But your body is not designed to run at full capacity all the time. Even though you've trained yourself to override every signal it sends, and eventually your body stops asking for permission and it just shuts down. And that is what burnout is. It is your body staging a rebellion because you've been ignoring it for so long. It's given you signals that you haven't paid attention to, so it just says stop. The second thing this lie takes from you, your relationships become transactional. You unconsciously teach people that your value is in what you do for them, not in who you are. So they take, you give, and then you resent them for something that you have trained them to expect from you. This one is particularly painful because it happens so gradually you might not even notice it. You start helping someone and it feels good. They need you, they appreciate you, you matter. But then they come back and they want more and they come back. And somewhere along the way, this relationship shifts. You're no longer a person to them. You're a resource. You're a problem solver, a fixer. But the worst part is that you trained them to see you this way because every time they had a need, every time they showed up, you were there for them. Every time they had a problem, you solved it. Every time they were struggling, you sacrificed yourself to make them comfortable. So now when you try to set a boundary or say no or ask for something in return, they're confused because that's not who you've been to them. You've been the person who never needs anything, the person who's always open and available and they can count on you. And when they push back on your boundary, then you feel guilty because part of you believes they're right, that asking for anything in return is selfish, that your job is to give, not to receive. So when you finally hit burnout or get sick or need to slow down, you don't know who you are anymore because you've built your entire sense of self on being useful. And this is the scariest part because when you can't produce, when you can't perform, when you can't be useful, who are you? When I first hit burnout, I couldn't work. I couldn't show up for my kids. I couldn't do any of the things that made me feel like I mattered. And I had this thought, if I'm not doing anything, do I even exist? And that's how deeply this lie had taken root in my system. My entire identity was wrapped up in my productivity and in my capacity to serve others while completely abandoning myself. And when that was taken away, I had no idea who I was underneath all of that performance. And that is the cost of the lie, and it is too much. The good news is you can choose differently. And when you do, everything changes. So let's dive into what becomes possible when you finally release the lie. When you release the belief that you have to earn your existence, everything shifts. You start to see rest as an act of self-respect, not selfishness. Imagine waking up Saturday morning and instead of immediately thinking about your to-do list, you just sit. You have your coffee. You stare out the window. You do nothing with intention, and you don't feel guilty about it. That is what becomes possible when you let go of the lie. Rest stops being something that you have to earn or justify, and it just becomes a natural part of your rhythm because you finally understand that your worth isn't determined by your productivity. You stop waiting for permission to take care of yourself. And this is huge because for most of your life, you've been waiting for someone to tell you that it is okay to rest, to slow down, to prioritize yourself. You've been waiting for that external validation that says, you've done enough and you can stop now. You deserve it. But when you realize the lie, you realize you don't need anyone else's permission. You can give yourself that permission. You are the authority on your own life. And that shift from waiting for permission to granting permission changes everything, because you begin to trust that your worth is not something you do, it's something you are. And this is what I call the mirror flip. It's the second phase of my worth without work method. It's where you stop looking outside yourself for validation and you start recognizing that you were always enough, not because of what you accomplished, but because you exist. Think about that for a minute. You were enough when you were born. You didn't have to do anything to earn your place here. You didn't have to prove your worth. You just are worthy. And then somewhere along the way, you learn that existence wasn't enough, that you had to add value, that you had to be useful, that you had to earn your keep. That's the oldest daughter cross to bear. But that is the lie. Your worth has always been inherent. It's not something that you can lose by resting. It's not something that you can gain by producing. It just is. And when you finally hold that truth and internalize it, when you believe it in your bones, you stop living like you have to prove yourself. You stop chasing validation. You stop overextending yourself to feel valuable. And you just are. You realize that you're just enough. This doesn't mean that you stop working or contributing or helping or setting goals. It means you stop doing those things from a place of desperation and seeking that external validation. You stop using productivity as evidence of your worth. You start doing things because you want to, not because you're proving something. And the quality of everything changes. Your work becomes more intentional. Your relationships become more authentic. Your life becomes yours. So this sounds great, but where do I actually start? What's the first thing? How do I change this belief when it's been with me my entire life? The first step is awareness. Notice when the voice comes in and says, you haven't done enough yet. You can rest when you finished everything on your list. Other people have it worse than you. Stop complaining. That's not your voice. That is conditioning. So you have to start paying attention to that. Don't argue with it. Don't fight with it. Don't tell it to go away, because it won't. Just notice it. Because what happens when you start noticing is you create a space between you and that thought. You realize that just because a thought appears in your head doesn't mean it's true. It doesn't mean you have to obey it. So do this exercise with me. Close your eyes and say to yourself, I am, and your first name. So, I am Jaylene. Say it in your head with your mouth closed. That voice that you hear in your head saying, I am, and your first name, that is you. All of the other noise that you hear is conditioning. And this first step of noticing is meant to help you recognize the difference between the two. You're having thoughts all day long. Your mind is spinning all day long with thoughts. None of those thoughts are you. You don't have to listen to any of those thoughts. The voice that you heard say your name, that is you. So when you hear those thoughts and you take a breath and you say, I don't have to hear or listen to any of those thoughts. That voice that's saying, I don't have to listen to, that's you. So this first step of noticing is recognizing the difference between the two. So I literally want you to start tracking when you start to notice those thoughts. What triggers those thoughts? Is it when you sit down to rest? Is it when you say no to something? Is it when you're not being productive? Is it all day long? For me, the voice was loudest in the evenings. I would finish work, and instead of relaxing, I would immediately start scanning for what else I needed to do. I worked from home. I was building my business. So I had my work day done, but then there's home day. I had 3 kids to raise. The voice was constantly screaming at me. The voice would say, you can't just do nothing. There's something that needs to be done. Why are you being so lazy? And I immediately would snap to and obey, and every single time, because I believed that that was my voice, my truth. But when I started noticing it and really paying attention to when it showed up and what it was saying to me and the difference between the control that I had, that awareness created a choice. I could question that voice. I could question those thoughts. So every time you notice the voice, you get to choose. Do I listen or do I question it? And that question is the beginning of freedom. You could say to it, I hear you, and I'm going to sit still for 5 minutes. I'm going to set a timer and I'm going to sit still. If it's saying something, you could ask it, is that really true? Do I really believe that? For instance, you're going to let them down. Is that true? Or have I just been trained to believe that my needs don't matter? You could ask it, is this something that I need to be doing, or can they do this for themselves? I'm still important even if they do it for themselves. Do I have to be the one to do this? This practice of noticing and questioning, it doesn't change everything overnight, but it plants a little seed and it creates a tiny little bit of doubt in that system. It just creates enough of a pause. And over time, you might start to realize maybe I don't have to earn my existence. Maybe my worth isn't conditional. Maybe I can just rest without justifying it. Maybe I can just be. So if you really want to understand exactly where you are in your journey of burnout, if you want clarity on how deeply this lie has taken root in your system, then I definitely want you to take the free burnout quiz. The link is in the description. You're going to get a personalized assessment and then the clear next steps of what to do. So click the link in the description and take that quiz. Now, before we wrap up, I want to leave you with something to hold on to as you begin this journey of noticing and unlearning. Please remember that you were not born believing that you had to earn your place here. That was taught. That was a learned behavior. Think about a newborn baby. Do they have to do anything to be worthy of love or to deserve care or to matter? No, they just exist, and their existence is enough. And we were all a newborn baby once. Nothing fundamental has changed about your worth since the day you were born. You didn't become less valuable as you grew up. You just learned to believe that you were. And if it was learned, it can be unlearned. You are allowed to rest without a reason. You don't need to be sick or burned out or at your breaking point. You can just rest on Tuesday at 1 o'clock just because you want to. You are allowed to exist without producing. Your value is not determined by your output. You matter because you're here. Period. You are allowed to be loved for who you are and not what you do. The right people will love you even when you have nothing to offer them, even when you can't help them, even when you're messy and imperfect and struggling. That is not laziness. The world does not need another exhausted woman forcing herself to keep going. The world needs you to be rested and whole. Because what happens when you heal from this lie, you don't become less productive, you become more intentional. You contribute from a place of fullness instead of depletion. You allow yourself to matter in the way that you always have. The lie told you that rest is the enemy and that stopping means losing. But the truth is, you have always been worthy. You just forgot. And we are going to work together to help you. So if this video resonated with you and other eldest daughters that it will resonate with, please share it with them, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to take the burnout quiz. The description has the link for you. And if you want to go deeper into this work, check out this next video where I'm going to share more about the journey from exhaustion to ease and those practical steps that'll help you reclaim your life. I will see you there.